Another water in the night. Let me paint the view, no matter where you might go. Remember, you'll be on my mind.
Persona 3 Reload is a 2024 remake of the original game Persona 3, which debuted on the PlayStation 2 back in 2006. In the game, you play the silent protagonist role of a high school transfer student in Japan who earlier in life was orphaned as a child due to the death of your parents. Shortly after moving into a dormitory with other fellow students, your character falls into a deep sleep while strange events begin to occur around the city. This is known as the Dark Hour, a daily occurrence in which affected individuals turn into coffins unaware, and your own high school transforms into a giant, maze-like tower known as Tartarus, which is filled with monsters called shadows who prey on those still conscious. One of these shadows ends up attacking your dorm, and it is here when you first awaken to the power of your persona, a being which certain characters can summon forth to combat shadows. Along with other characters who end up joining your party, eventually you will end up joining a special task force of fellow students in your dorm with the objective of investigating a method to eliminate the Dark Hour itself. As this is the first Persona game I've played through, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, so I went in with an open mind to see what at least one entry in the series was all about. Persona 3 takes inspiration from the occult as well as various religions and mythologies found throughout the world. The structure known as Tartarus in the game is a reference to the region of the underworld used for punishment and imprisonment in Greek mythology. As you explore Tartarus, you'll find that it's split into several blocks, each with their own name, and these names are often references to words in Hebrew or concepts found in the Jewish Kabbalah tradition. Each Persona figure itself is associated with one of the major arcana found in a tarot card deck, and each one of your party members wields their own unique persona. Unlike your allies, however, who only carry a single persona, your character has the capability to summon multiple personas, allowing for greater flexibility and strategy during combat. Despite its seemingly lighthearted and spirited anime appearance, I quickly learned that this game possesses more adult-like themes than it may lead one to believe at first glance. For one, characters summon their persona by pulling the trigger to a firearm-like weapon next to their head, and the very opening cutscene for the game features a montage of characters performing this maneuver in sequence, leaving me with a strange look on my face wondering what sort of game I'm about to play. In addition to this, the game also contains themes of a more perverted and sexual nature, of course. However, at least these moments do seem to be included more for humor and comedic effect. Other themes with NPCs involve situations such as violent conflicts between students and faculty, teachers having intimate relations with students, family abandonment, and facing one's own mortality, to name a few. I found these moments to add meaningful character development and weight to the game, while the main plot takes a back seat, as that unfortunately doesn't really kick into gear until about mid-game. One of the first things I noticed about Persona 3 Reload was its unique art style. While the game's environments themselves are mostly static and uneventful, other areas of the game such as cutscenes, loading screens for calendar transitions, the menu screen, transitions between menu options within battle, and even character-specific finishing touch animations upon battle completion are full of vibrant splashes of color, oftentimes contrasting with other graphics to create truly appealing visuals. Having had much experience with JRPGs in my day, these sorts of areas in these games often tend to be bland and generic, so it was refreshing to see the attention to detail the developers and artists over at Atlus put into these areas of the game. When it comes to gameplay, I've heard Persona described as a social RPG, and I think that's a fairly accurate way to describe it. The gameplay loop consists of your character having a variety of daytime and evening activities to choose from as you progress throughout your school's calendar year, such as stopping by the police station to purchase new equipment, or restocking up on items at the pharmacy. Certain activities will count as progressing time forward, while others will not. So having a rough plan to your sequence of activities will help you to maximize the amount of actions you're able to take each day. Every now and then, you'll take class exams or attend local events or school trips with your team, which automatically consume your time. However, these events do mix up the typical flow a bit and provide moments to see your party members in a different light. One of the main activities you'll be performing after school is spending time with various NPCs to progress their social links within a single Arcana category. Social links are a mechanic in Persona in which you're able to gain an increasing experience bonus when creating new personas of that Arcana type. This is done via the Velvet Room, a special location in the game dedicated to fusing 2 or more personas together to create an entirely new persona. The higher your social link for that Arcana, the higher the experience bonus, and therefore the higher the level that persona will start out at. Upon maxing out a social link, you gain access to the ultimate persona of that Arcana type. While social links may not appear to have any immediate effect in combat, as you progress later into the game, their benefits will begin to shine as you will be able to fuse some truly powerful personas. Truth be told, as I progressed towards mid-game, I began to find the sheer volume of social activities that add up over the course of months upon months to get rather tedious. There were months where at most only 1 or 2 major scenes would occur that would progress the plot forward, whereas every other day was spent performing regular activities. Fortunately, the game does include an option to fast forward through such moments to help you arrive more quickly to other sections in the game. Speaking of personas, the battle system is designed to revolve around them as they are your main form of dealing damage to shadows. Each persona has its own stats, strengths and vulnerabilities to certain physical or magical attacks, and abilities consisting of offensive, supportive, and passive abilities. Whichever persona your character has currently equipped, he will assume its stats until he switches to a different persona. While I didn't find this to play a huge role in general combat scenarios, boss fights, especially mid to late game, do require you to be aware of their attack patterns so that you shift to personas that maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. Aside from personas, each party member throughout the game gains access to multiple signature attacks that, when unleashed on enemies, ignore their resistances and provide a supplementary route to deal additional damage to bosses. Persona 3 Reload features over 150 personas, and while I do appreciate the large variety, I can see how this volume could potentially make it more challenging for some players to get a good grip on the differences between each persona and their abilities. Furthermore, while personas do themselves level up and gain additional abilities, the game only communicates the very next ability the persona will learn, rather than communicate all abilities available to the persona. Personally, I wasn't too fond of this method, as it removed my ability to know which personas I would prefer to spend my time fusing or leveling up, as I would be able to see how effective or ineffective the persona would grow to become. On the other hand, the combat system features a number of cool mechanics I found rather unique to the JRPG genre. A mechanic known as One More allows both you and the enemy to take an additional turn each time you exploit a different enemy's weakness. This is coupled with shifting, which allows you to pass your turn to another character to have them perform an action instead. Should you manage to exploit all enemies' weaknesses, you will gain the option to perform an all-out attack, which deals huge damage to all enemies and makes it possible to wipe them all out without ever giving them a chance to take a turn. Finishing battles with all-out attacks also guarantees the appearance of shuffle time, a mechanic which rewards you special items or effects post-battle, including new personas. Furthermore, there's the rush mechanic, a useful feature which allows the game to automatically choose your party's actions while fast-forwarding combat, allowing you the ability to level up more quickly when fighting weaker mobs of enemies. Lastly, one of the coolest mechanics in Persona 3 Reload is that of the Great Clock, a structure which randomly spawns only once per Tartarus visit. In most JRPGs, Persona 3 included, it's very common for non-active party members to be excluded from gaining XP. Well, with the Great Clock, you get the option to instantly level up 2 members of your team up to the current level of your main character. Let me tell you, I wish this feature was something present in more RPGs because it saved me so much time leveling up weaker characters who have set out of battle due to their abilities not being as useful as other party members during portions of the game. The majority of all of this combat takes place in Tartarus, a tower consisting of 264 floors of shadows and a map layout which changes each time you revisit it. Tartarus is divided into 6 blocks of floors, and each successive block opens up to the player only on specific days of the year. The map layout is initially blank and gets filled out as your party explores each floor, collecting items and killing enemies in the process. Unfortunately, you cannot save your progress while on the floors of Tartarus. This is only allowed while at the entrance. Fortunately, however, there are teleporters found on various floors, which enable you to either teleport to any other explored floor, or directly back to the entrance so that you can save. Luckily, the game also tracks your progress and allows you to resume exploration back at the last visited floor. And if you spend too much time on a floor, a special enemy known as a Reaper will appear and begin chasing you, even following you up floors. This guy will absolutely destroy you unless you're near late game. So if that's not the case, it's best you continue running to avoid him. And if you do happen to game over, on normal difficulties, the game offers you a variety of convenient options to get back into the game, rather than forcing your only option to be to load your last save. As you progress through higher floor blocks, you will encounter optional boss areas that offer rare treasure with the trade-off of a higher difficulty challenge. As a bonus for completing these areas, the map layout of both the current and next floors will be filled out for you, so the benefits are definitely worth taking on these challenges. As you may have noticed from this footage, the visual appeal of Tartarus is, well, quite bland. I do understand that this is a remake of a PS2 game. However, I couldn't help but find the floor exploration and overall design of each block to be highly repetitive and boring. I did appreciate how each block has its own unique visual style, but aside from that, it's just the same colors and patterns over and over again. Given how much time you'll spend in Tartarus over the course of the game, I do wish this area of the game was beefed up more. Upon game completion, you'll have the option to start up a New Game Plus file. You can consider New Game Plus as an opportunity to max out any unfinished social links, collect and fuse any missed personas, or attempt a higher difficulty run. If you're the type that enjoys pain and suffering, you can also use this as an opportunity to fight the hardest optional boss in the game. This boss is absolutely brutal. A series of uncommunicated rules are enforced on the fight, such as a 50 turn limit and the inability to nullify or repel any of their attacks. And if at any point one of these rules are broken, they will cast a spell that leads to instant death. To be honest, I'm surprised with myself that I even had the patience to endure this challenge, but in the end I made it through. With that said, I'm never doing this again. In closing, being my first game in the series, I enjoyed most of my time with Persona 3 Reload. While I did find some of the day-to-day activities to get tedious over the course of the game, in addition to the plot taking a bit too long to get moving for my taste, I did have fun getting to know the various characters in the game and collecting and fusing personas to alter my battle strategies. I'll likely be returning to Persona 3 fairly soon, as later this year, as part of its expansion pass, new DLC story content will be released featuring events set after the main story. If you're curious about jumping into the Persona series, and especially if you are a fan of the original Persona 3, you don't want to miss this one. Well, that's it for the video, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to be notified of when new videos release. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on Persona 3 Reload, whether you're a series veteran or beginner like myself. Till next time.